Joining us now is Meghan Sullivan, the O'Brien Collegiate Associate Professor of Philosophy at Notre Dame and the Director of the University Philosophy Requirement. Meghan's innovative God and the Good Life course is an in-demand new version of Notre Dame's first philosophy requirement that often incorporates short videos performed by Meghan herself. Let's take a look at a clip from the course right now.
Would the most meaningful life for you be one where you work to change the world? Does meaning come from religious faith? It's time for you to get in the debate. In God and the Good Life, you'll have the chance to think, discuss, and debate the big questions about what makes a life moral and what makes a life meaningful with other Notre Dame students.
We got a video superstar here. Welcome to Notre Dame Day, Meghan.
Great to see you. I realize we're in the same suit.
Yeah, it coordinated so well. Thank you for being here. So we just saw that clip from the video you made for God and the Good Life. Sounds like a really awesome class. Can you explain a little more about that?
Yeah, so we think in the philosophy department, every Notre Dame student should have a chance to think really seriously about big questions concerning his or her life. It's part of their education here. And 4 questions in particular shape God and the Good Life. How are you going to decide what to believe? Are you going to practice any religion as an adult? And if so, why? What motivates that? What do you owe other people, especially when the moral questions get difficult and are controversial? And finally, what would it take for your life to have been meaningful when you die? What goes into that? And we want students...
That's some deep stuff.
It's deep stuff, and you don't have to go it alone. Like, these are heavy questions that everybody has to consider, but philosophy can actually give you a lot of resources to try to answer these. And so we want students at the end of the class to have some idea about how they're answering these questions for themselves, but at the same time to know where they can look, to know like the intellectual backbones that they can lean on as they're trying to formulate their views and going on whatever else they're going to study at Notre Dame.
I understand the course has a lot of digital content, kind of like what we saw with that video. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, that video is the tip of the iceberg. It's also the goofiest video that we've made for the class, but we've got about 40 digital shorts that we've made for the course. And our idea behind the digital shorts is we want a student to be able to understand the philosophy she's reading pretty well before she even comes into class. So we had class today. You might be reading Friedrich Nietzsche for the first time. He's kind of a tough author. We want you to sit down with that text, have a little video explaining the key concepts, and then when you get into class, we are ready to have a really vigorous debate about Nietzsche's criticism of religion. And you know enough Nietzsche to now be able to talk about whether you agree with him or you disagree with him or how his views would apply to this current controversy in the New York Times.
Yeah.
So we use the digital stuff to try to help enhance our debate in class, which is where the real action happens.
Oh yeah, and the philosophy is so applicable to everyday life. You're probably able to have some really good dynamic conversations as well.
Absolutely.
I love that. Well, tell me a little bit about why you started this class.
So I've been teaching the big philosophy class at Notre Dame for a couple of years, and we always teach Aristotle in the class. Aristotle's my favorite philosopher on these topics.
Okay.
And I started noticing something. We'd read Aristotle, and I'd give my students this pitch. Aristotle was basically right about how to live well. And the thing Aristotle says is living well is a matter of doing things. It's a matter of thinking through concrete problems. It's not a matter of learning all these theoretical points of philosophy. And so I'd teach that to my students, and then I'd give them an exam where they had to basically repeat all of Aristotle's theoretical philosophy. I was like, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
We should be able to teach people how to approach their own lives as philosophical projects. And we got really excited about that idea in the philosophy department and then went from scratch. What kinds of new assignments would we develop? What kinds of things would we read if we really believed that part of your college education could teach you how to have the good life? And that's what really got me motivated to work on the class. And I'm really happy with what we've come up with.
That's awesome. And a lot of this stuff is available online. Is it accessible for people to follow along at home?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no substitute for actually being in the room and having this debate with other people, just like there's no substitute for being on Notre Dame's campus and having that experience with your friends and comrades here. But if you're interested in some of these questions, you can go on our website, godandgoodlife.org, and it's designed so every possible theme that we touch on in the class, you click a button and you can get the key philosophical readings, you can get videos explaining the key ideas, you can get links to the New York Times and the Atlantic and the Wall Street Journal that show how these are still very much live debates. We even, if you feel like it, have some homework assignments you can do to try to follow along and make sure you're understanding.
All right, that sounds pretty cool. Thanks so much for joining us here on Notre Dame Day.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate you.